Welcome back to the channel. I missed y'all, right? I'm watching the Celtics versus Heat game right now. It's very good. And during one of the time, I started saying, you know what, let me just record. Because I was going through online, I was going through social media, going through NBA Twitter, and I saw things I didn't like. I saw things that could only some more stuff. After one series, after one thing, they're trying to characterize or let that be indicative of a whole player's career. And that's what they're doing to Kawhi. It's like they forgot it was only last year that this man defied the odds. The Raptors were not title favorites by any means. They were a great squad even without him, 17-5. But he carried them on their back in a lot of ways. He was that closer that they so badly needed. He was that star player that elevated their other very good players to great players. He was the missing piece for the Raptors in many ways. And they forgot what he did in Game 7 against the 76ers. They forgot what he did throughout that whole series. It was a historical playoff run in terms of pure production. I'll have the stats up there for you. I don't have it right in front of me right now. And all this was en route to an historical championship win for the country of Canada. That aside, it's a championship win. That doesn't come around too often. That's his third championship. Two of those were with the Spurs. His first championship, he was no more than the fourth, third option. But still, now I will give them this. Kawhi this season had expectations he's never had before. He chose his destination, and to a large extent, he chose his squad. This was never, ever, he's never had that in his career before. For the first time in his career, he was compared to LeBron. He was actually compared, are we seeing a late bloomer in terms of the GOAT debate? That was a real thing. That if he wins 3 championships with 3 teams, making 4 championships in total, he was that close to having more rings than LeBron. Wow. Imagine that. But yeah, for the first time, he was like, is he better than KD? Is he better than LeBron? Is he the best player in the NBA right now? Me personally, I can't say he's the best player anymore, but there was a time this whole season until that last game, I believe that he was the best player in the NBA, and LeBron was a close second, and KD was a close third, and Steph Curry was a close fourth. That's what I thought. But obviously he's not. It's not really because he played one poor game in the series. He's played pretty solidly in the series. If not for him, the Clippers would have been the first round exits, right? But still, you do have to hold him accountable for this. This is not good in any margins. In any way you look at it, any way you slice it up. The people saying it was a 3-1 lead, which makes it worse, no. It does show that maybe he's not that leader the Clippers need him to be. Maybe he's never been that guy, right? Like in Toronto, he had a Lowry. But to me, 3-1 versus 3-2 or 2-2, it doesn't really matter to me, right? At the end of the day, you won 3 games. At the end of the day, you allowed them to win 3 games. Yeah, to me, coming back from 3-1 is pretty good, but at the same time, you were poor enough to put yourself down 3-1. So I never really understood that, but that's a whole nother thing. He chose where he got to play. He could have stayed in Toronto for one more season, like a last dance. He had a bunch of people on 1-year contracts. He had a team that he was going to flow, but he chose his destiny, and he even threw in some more stuff saying, I'm not signing with you unless you give me Paul George. And he held the Lakers in captive. The Lakers were banking on signing him this offseason. They couldn't make any other moves for some of the premier free agents because of Kawhi. They needed every penny of their cap space to pull that off, and it didn't happen. So, and then you go this, and then you lose to the Nuggets, who no one thinks, even right now, no one really thinks the Nuggets stand a chance against the King, and that's something of his own doing. We'll see what happens going forward. I think Doc Rivers should be fired and stuff like that. But Kawhi's still a great player. He's still top 10 top 5, I would pretty much slide him in top 5. I'm a Rockets fan, so I am biased to Harden, but I will still put Kawhi over Harden. But still, yeah. One thing this shows, I mean, once again, this all ties back to LeBron, right? The whole NBA runs around LeBron, whether you like it or not. It's just the truth of the matter. For a short time, it didn't run around the Warriors, but yeah, Kawhi is just now learning what LeBron has learned a long time ago. And that's, you have to take, if you want to be considered one of the greats, you have to take your career into your own hands. You have to play le GM, right? That's the new term for it. You have to be a player and a GM, man. Kawhi, his move, it all seemed pretty erratic. It all seemed like, all right, I'm going to free agency. I want to play with someone else. Who's the most available person? I was Paul George. All right. LeBron, all his moves were calculated, and this is some meta stuff, right? This is outside the court, off the court. But for all LeBron's move, it took years to manifest. The Miami Heat move, he was always in talks with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. They perfectly timed their contracts to end at the same time for all of them to come together. Even the role players from Ray Allen to getting Shane Battier and stuff like that. And then you see him to the Lakers. He planned that. He went to the Lakers, and he's not on record, but it's clear that he sought a lot of those people as trading tokens. You couldn't go 1 week without hearing LeBron's gonna trade you type of joke. And it's true. LeBron was calculating his next move to contend, especially when he missed the playoffs due to his injury, man. And who consists of that roster right now? A bunch of one-year veterans. One-year veterans in AD, who's been talking to for about 2 years. Man, like, I don't think a lot of people see the chess moves he made. AD signed with Clutch Sports, LeBron's agency, sports agency thing, whatever. Yeah, he's been making those movies. He signed a bunch of one-year veterans who he actually played. They were actually his rivals at one point. Rondo with the Celtics, Dwight Howard and the Magic. All those people, man. And yeah, I think I could make a whole new video going to the ins and outs of the differences of Kawhi and LeBron in team building, right? I think I will. But if there's anything I want to leave y'all with, please do not make this mistake. Do not fall into this casual trap of slandering Kawhi. I mean, but it is true. We got to be honest, man. He's not up there. He's not up with LeBron. I mean, he's still young, but he's not up there with LeBron. And yeah,